And if you don't have any questions, I think we're ready to start. So Sudeep will be a co-host. I'll make him a co-host. Okay, Sudeep, so you should be able to start whenever you're ready.
Hello everyone, my name is Sudhir Salagai and today I'll be presenting on a project called Autogrid Harmony. And a little bit about me is I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal, and my education background is I did my bachelor's in electrical and computer science technology from Sam Houston University. I graduated in year 2021 and currently I'm pursuing my master's degree in information system and I plan to graduate on summer 2024. And my career goal will be working in IT firm after I graduate. I hope to gain knowledge and skills from that work, and ultimately in the future, I plan to go back to my country and open an IT company. Hopefully, the knowledge I gain and the experience will help me to open the company. And the overview of today's project will be about the problem statement, organization, requirements, functional and non-functional, some of the alternate solutions, solution designs, project demo, conclusion, and future enhancements. So let's talk about the problem statement. Like, how often do we feel like we've been newly hired in a company and we've been all excited and eager to work, only after some time to feel like disengagement and undervalued because there was a lack of communication between the organization and the employees. So this makes the employee feel undervalued, and like this makes the work environment culture not appropriate, can lead a sense of disengagement between the employees. So this project aims to fill the gap between the employees and the organization by creating a automatic messaging process. So little bit about the organization is the name of the organization is Crafty Creation. It's based in Nepal. It's founded in 2021. Is like homemade business, and it started with like few people. Right now they are employing like 20-25 women from local community, and these employees by providing them with a source of income, as well as they help to preserve and promote the traditional handicraft. And the main product and services for this company is they make hand made jewelry and decorative home items such as dream catcher and so on. And they have like custom order for every orders, like for every individuals. And functional requirements are something that a system should have, the system needs, and to perform. So we have the first one we have is automated emailing system. That's the whole system. It's basically this solution should like automatically send a welcome message, dynamic welcome message, and like a birthday message to the new employees upon registration. This automatic email system functionality ensures a timely and consistent communication with employees, enhancing their initial experience with the company. And the second one is birthday greeting automation. This automation automatically check, generates, and like create a dynamic message, welcome, like dynamic birthday message to the employees on their respective birthdays. This process foster a positive work environment by acknowledging their birthdays and appreciating and celebrating their birthdays to boost their morale and engagement. And third one is like personalization capabilities. That means that we use API like AI API for creating a dynamic content. This enhances the relations with employees, making them like feel valued and increase the work productivity and satisfaction of the employees. And second requirement is non-functional requirement. That are something that is like that enhance the project. So the first one is easy to use. This easy to use this the solution is user friendly for both admin and the end user, like employees. So it reduces the time during training time, and it reduces the error, allowing the staff employees to focus more on the core responsibility rather than the system. The second one is performance. This system should perform efficiently and elegantly under various workloads, ensuring timely delivery of messages and greetings. And this performance supports organizational reputation for reliability and responsiveness. And third is cost effective. So right now, the our solution doesn't cost anything to like we don't have to pay for anything as at this moment. So this solution provides value for money, balancing initial investment with the long-term benefits. It allows organization to allocate resources efficiently to maximize return on investment and reliability. This solution is reliable while delivering the message and emails without any delay or errors, and this ensures that employees receive timely communication and employees feel consistently recognized, contributing to the satisfaction and loyalty of the customers, of the employees. So we have three solutions for this project. One of them is customer relationship management. It's a software. It's a software like we use software like platform like Salesforce, HubSpot, Monday.com, or Zoho. So some of the strength for this platform is it has a centralized data management that improve efficiency and accuracy, and the solution is capable of handling like growing customer, large amount of customers and employee bases. It's able to handle all those, and it enhance customer relationship manage. It's just beyond messaging, it handles all this stuff too. So some of the weakness are the setup for the initial setup, it's costly, and it has a potential complication of integration. And the other one is we are dependent on the provider to for constant update and support, and we may require some training for the staff in order to like know the system who are unfamiliar with the CRM systems. The second one is like dedicated AI powering system. This system is designed especially to message the employees through AI, and this platform will integrate with our organization, and and some of the strength for this powering system is like it's solely focused on messaging. So the whole purpose of this system is to send automated message to the employees, and it has a flexibility, meaning that we can send them like we can send the message uh, by customizing and scheduling the messages at the right time. And it has advancement, like the more AI develops, the more we can integrate and we can create more content for the employees. Some of the weakness for this solutions is like it might be right now it's gonna cost no money, but at the future, the more it's start using more, it might have a operational cost depending on what platform, like what AI platform we use. And we have to solve the reliability and support depend on the messaging platform like a provider. So we may have to completely rely on the provider for the support, and it's totally dependent on the AI API. Third one is like open source tools such as Mailchimp and SendGrid. This some of the strength for this one is it is tailored to meet the specific needs of the organization. It is cost effective compared to other commercial solution in a long run, and it's the ongoing customization enhancement is based on the organization growth. The more you grow, the more you can enhance and you can be able to customize your needs according to your customize like organizational needs. And some of the weakness is this one also requires skilled like manpower to for initial setup and for the future maintenance. And on a longer development, it has a longer development timeline compared to other solutions. And it has like it has a limited support for like there are different kind of packages you can buy. For the minimum package you get the minimum support, and you have to rely on the community for like troubleshooting and other stuff. So this is we have based on those solutions we chose the AI automatic system to be best fit for the project. So this is the technical design for our project. Basically we have two ends, like a front end and a back end. So at the front end we have a waveform that where you can like fill up the your name, your date of birth, your joining date and everything. And once you submit that form, that's going to send a body request to our server, and that data is going to be saved in our database. Right now we are using JSON database, so it's going to be saved in our database, and that system is going to trigger API, I mean ChatGPT API, to send a response, like generate an email or generate a dynamic content for birthday or for a welcoming message. And after you trigger the API, is gonna send the ChatGPT is gonna send the API response back to our database, and it's gonna be that data is going to be then forwarded in terms of email to our employees. The second one we have is a logical design. It's a so logical design is like we have a waveform where we started from a waveform. So over here, once you have the data enter, it's going to check if the data is valid or not. Or like for some reason, if the data is already exists in our system, it's going to say like the email already exists. Or if you, for some reason you did not put the @ at the at Gmail, so it's going to say it's invalid. So once it checks for the data, everything valid, it's going to send that data to the server and to our server, and it's going to be stored in our JSON. And over here, our system will be running like right now we have two systems. Like one will be running for 24. We use cron. Cron is like basically it uses a schedule script or command that is that you schedule to run automatically as like you set up intervals. Like you give a time, you set a time for that, and it's gonna run automatically to check for the birthday. So we right now we have two systems. That one is gonna check like every minute. The other one is like every 24 hours. So what happens is once you enter your information and it's gonna be checked through our system, do you have a birthday or not? Yes, if you have a birthday and the joining date is at the same day, it's gonna trigger ChatGPT to send a response saying like, hey, generate a message for this person for welcoming message and birthday. So it's gonna send two different emails for the to our employees. If you don't have a birthday today, it's gonna automatically send out welcoming message to the employee, and that system gonna end. System gonna stop. So this is the form design for my project. So over here on the left, you can see welcome form where we have to submit your name, email address, contact number, date of birth, and joining date. So once you submit that, it's gonna be saved in our JSON. So as you can, this is an example. As you can see, there's a name, email, contact number, date of birth, joining date. So since we have date of birth and joining date at the same day, the ChatGPT is gonna send us two different emails. One saying like "Welcome to the Crafty Creation," the other one saying "Happy Birthday." So it's gonna send that automatically both the message at the same time if you have the same day birthday and joining date at the same day. So let's watch the demo for the project. So over here you can see like. So I'm using two different emails. The one on the right is my personal Morris email, and the left is my personal email. So once you get that, and once I run the server, run the server, it's gonna say server running successfully, and there's no data on the JSON. So and over here you go to the local host 3000 welcome, and over here you enter all the information. You can see I'm entering the same day and at the joining date and the date of birth as the same day. So once you submit the form, it's gonna say form data received and saved successfully. Right after that, you're gonna receive an email saying welcome aboard. We are thrilled to have you doing it. So every message is gonna be different from the other one. So every time you do that, everything is gonna be different one. And since I'm using cron to run every minute, so it's gonna take a minute or so to generate a birthday email. Right there, you can see we receive the birthday email as well, saying we sing the welcome birthday, like wonderful birthday, and like over here you can see it's sent through my email. Both the emails are sent through my email, and then after that we're gonna go back and stop the server, and you can see over here the data being saved with the name and email, contact number, and ID and everything.
So Deep, can you please show the part where you are sending an API request to ChatGPT? Like where's that part in your code?
Just give me right here we can. So we're gonna say like say generate a paragraph welcome message for the like name, whatever the name we enter, and we join the clarification on company on the joining date. So after that, we're gonna await for the for that code to run, and after that code is run successfully, it's gonna like send the email saying welcome to the company.
Okay, thank you. And is this your code? I mean, you wrote that code or you use somebody else's project as a template?
This one is like it's not like I use some of the reference from the other third-party websites, and then although I have mentioned all the reference on the reference, so I like read the thing and I try to implement what is written over there. So the content.
Did you reference your sources, like where you got your code?
Yes, yes, it's on the reference. I reference everything.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of questions there for you, Sudeep. First one is the database information all stored in JSON files?
Yes.
Is it secure?
So right now this is just a basic model. So right now it's just we're using a JSON file, but later on as the employee goes, we are planning to use like a different database such as SQL for storing data that is more secure. As of now, we just have so just store in a right here. That's all stored right now. But later on, after it's like have more employees base, then we might be purchasing other third party software like SQL or something to store all the data.
So who's the end user for this?
We as a company are the end user for the project. So if this is my organization, I'll be the one, like this is just a demo using my email. So that's me, I'm gonna be the one right now. But after I give this to the company, they're gonna take over that and they're gonna have their own like emailing. They're gonna change the email and everything, and they're gonna make it their own.
So I noticed that you put today's date for date of birth and joining date. Can you validate that for someone who's at least 18 years old or something like that?
No.
So how helpful is that? If someone was born today, joined today?
Yeah, that one like just to show like this is just the basic models to show like it's gonna trigger like email using your date of birth, but we don't have the way to validate that date of birth. It's just gonna see that the date of birth and the joining date is same as today's, so that's why it's gonna trigger the welcome like a birthday email. But we don't like as of now there's no thing to validate.
Okay, joining date I understand because you wanted to demonstrate, but what if someone had put 1924 08 03? Will it consider that valid?
So we have I haven't tried that, but we have a certain range that we can enter. Let me see.
So in the form, if you had put, because that's the date that matters, so it should be August 3rd. But I'm thinking if you put a year or August 4th.
Yeah, the year like you said 1994.
Or 1924, 100 years ago. So a 100-year-old man joined your company. Why did you have to delete that data?
Because I have the same email, it already exists, so that's why it sent me the response saying the email already exists. Because I am using the same email twice. So once you have the same email twice, then it's gonna say your email already exists. That's why I have to delete the data and then do it again. Yeah, it's
Thank
gonna
you.
take it even though you are 19. Like,
Yeah, it's not giving an error, is what you're saying.
yes.
Okay.
So the only thing that matters is the like a day and a month. So it doesn't really check for the year.
So
It
you
just
could
goes to, like,
even put 2024 09 03 and it'll accept that. Date of birth into the future. No, September 3.
let's do 2020.
Okay. Email already exists. Okay.
So this one was morely focused on the like welcoming message. So the email, the birthday was just to like enhance a little bit more of the project.
Yeah, but I'm thinking from a functional standpoint right now. It's just sending a message.
Yes, that yes.
Okay, so Deep, I mean, it's a neat project because you gained some experience using ChatGPT API. I think it was me who raised that point, or I don't, maybe somebody else, but you kind of ignored it. I remember 100% that we raised that point. Your project does not really take advantage of AI. I mean, the only thing that you're sending to AI is the name and date of birth or joining date, right?
Yes.
So you should have sent more parameters so that ChatGPT can generate a truly custom message, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm thinking about whether like things like if the person is male or female, whether they are married or single, depending on what kind of hobbies they have or what kind of job title they have, that will generate a custom welcome. So why didn't you send like additional parameters to ChatGPT to create a truly custom message?
Like this was like a 6-week project, 1 month to 1.5 months. So I didn't have time to like customize that deeper. So the basic was to send a welcome email, but I added the like a birthday email as well to make it more
Yeah,
seamless.
but it's so simple to parse like all those variables that you have in your forward database and send it to ChatGPT, you know, to say something like create a custom welcome message for a person with the following name, born on the following date, who is a male and who is single, right? I mean, I think ChatGPT would generate something more customizable. Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I feel like it's not that
Yes.
complicated to send more info to ChatGPT, especially since you're doing it anyway, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I did not like go that deeper into the like generating male or female. I just simply wanted something that was like simple to see and like using ChatGPT in a simple way to generate an
Well,
email.
it's a bit too simple because in a way, like we don't need that kind of information system because we can generate custom messages using ChatGPT and then just copy and paste somebody's name into that message, right? That's it. So we don't need like any kind of forms or anything like that.
Yes, but this one does like automatic. You don't have once you enter that, you don't have to like go back and check the
Okay, yeah.
thing.
Well, I take that point that it's automated.
Yeah, this automated is gonna like once you enter the information, you don't have to go back. Once you leave the system running, it's gonna just like keep on running, saving the data, and it's gonna keep on sending the email without you being like there or without you doing anything. It's gonna do that. That was the sole purpose of the project, to send an automatic message without you being to like edit or like
Okay,
do
but
other things.
please stay away from strong statements like that. Like, don't say like sole purpose. Well, it's not the sole purpose, right?
I mean, yeah.
And you also said something like the only thing that matters. Like there are many things that matter. So yeah, I would not agree that the sole purpose is to automate that email messaging because you know you I think your main purpose was to explore AI, right? To explore
Yes,
how
yes. Explore AI and like to like see how it works to send an email, like a basic email. And every time you generate an email, it's going to be a different. It's not going to be the same email to every person. It's going to be a little bit different than the other one, and it's going to be automatically send the email to that person to next person. So all you need is a waveform, and you just enter your.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, we are running out of time. Any final
I'll add just one quick comment on that. I think it would be helpful if you're using ChatGPT, a generative AI, to provide a sentence or two saying this day in history. So on that particular date, your AI tool can go look up and some historical fact and add a sentence or two that sort of demonstrates what you're wanting to do with the API. But that's something to think about, which is something that didn't cross my mind at the time. Only when Dr. Kroto mentioned it, it struck me. I do have one more minor correction. That you said MailChimp is open source. It's not. Intuit owns it.
Yeah, it's not open source. They want money for it.
They want money. Yeah, like the thing is, right now they are allowing us to have like up to 10,000 hits. So every time somebody's email welcome message, that's one hit. So we have up to 10,000. Then after that, we have to start paying.
Well, it's not just the number of users or emails. It's also like they give you like all kinds of limitations if you're using that free version.
Yes.
But it's definitely not open source. It's a proprietary software. Yeah.
So it costs some money after some time. Once you keep on using that, it's gonna reach the limit and it's gonna start like charging you money for every like that message that you send.
All right, I'm sorry, Sudeep, we're running out of time, so let's keep on track. So thank you for your presentation. I think it's a neat project. I like the fact that you try to explore what can be done with AI and how to automate certain simple tasks and customize messages. So it was quite neat. So I would like to remind our faculty attendees that we have this evaluation form. If you look at our general chat, you will see a link to our agenda file, and within that agenda file, you will find a link to our evaluation form. So please fill it in for Sudeep, and also please don't forget to fill it in for Taylor. So now we're going to move to our next presenter, Taylor Hunt. Okay, I'm going to make your co-host in a second. Okay, so now you should be able to share your screen and start your presentation.
Thank you. Okay. All right, can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I apologize. I'm on an ultra wide monitor, so I had to do some scaling. So if it's too small, let me know and I can try and fix that. Awesome. So today I'm going to present my project for the creation of a symptom tracking mobile application for the self-management of fibromyalgia. Just to introduce myself, if I haven't met you before, my name is Taylor Hunt. A little bit about me. I have my bachelor's in computer information systems with Murray State, and currently I'm working on my master's in that same field. In terms of professional experience, I've had experience as a network automation engineer, and I currently work as an implementation consultant on tax software. And my goals for the future are really to try and move towards project management. I'm hoping that between my education and my professional experience, I can kind of combine those two to move into an administrative or project management role. So we have a lot of content to cover. So let's just look at the overview here. The problem statement, requirements. We're going to look at alternative solutions again, and then the solution design and evaluation, both of which are new since our proposal, and then lessons learned. So we'll go ahead and dive right into that. The problem statement, fibromyalgia is difficult to diagnose. Typically, it's accompanied with other diseases that have overlapping symptoms. There's not a lab or imaging test available for fibromyalgia, so it's very much reliant on a physical exam and kind of this subjective experience being shared with doctors about symptoms, and it's very difficult to diagnose because of that. There's no direct test that says, yes, you have fibromyalgia. And it also requires lifelong treatment. And that's difficult in terms of the patient because there's medications, therapy, excuse me, I'm congested here, and other treatments that are lifelong that have to be kept up with. And from a doctor standpoint, treatment plans have to be adjusted over the course of time. And going back to that why it's challenging for the patient and the doctor, recording symptoms and then constantly updating each other on treatment plans or the presentation of symptoms is very difficult for both parties. One study I'd like to point out here is found that 53% of physicians reported difficulty with diagnosing fibromyalgia. And this study will come into play a little bit later in our evaluation, but really the summation of that is it's difficult to work with from a doctor standpoint, and it's difficult to live with from a patient standpoint. Moving into the requirements, the application should be accessible, and that's why it's taking the form of a mobile application. It's portable, so you can carry it around with you, you can fill it out, you can use the tools that come with a mobile application, such as voice to text, stuff like that. And then daily notifications as reminders to fill out the symptom log. The more you fill it out, the more data you give your doctor to help treat you. And then a simple UI. Ideally, there's no lengthy forms, and then the option for more details available when desired. And then we want to design a daily symptom tracking form and give the patient or the user, I'll use those interchangeably, the ability to identify their pain points, levels, and other general symptoms they may have. And lastly, data export. We want them to be able to download or email the data as needed, one or another, or hopefully both, so that way they can give this data to their doctor. And one, it gives them the ability to track their own symptoms, but two, it gives them the ability to share that experience with the doctor. So moving into alternative solutions here, My Pain Diary is an application available on the App Store that allows users to track multiple health conditions. It's not specific towards one disorder. It provides reporting on various data points. As you can see in the screenshot on the side of my screen here, we have a screenshot of what their reporting looks like. And this kind of goes into that simple UI aspect of the requirements and kind of talking about the weaknesses, as well as this reporting could be very useful if you were on a computer and you had the ability to kind of like zoom in and look at it, maybe expand it more. But from a mobile standpoint, this is very hard to read. And then another great feature that it has is PDF exporting, which is very useful. But again, a weakness is it's only on the Apple Store, so it's not made for all device types. It's only made for the iOS platform. Onto the second solution. Pain Scale is another great app. Great because it has a ton of great features as tracking multiple health conditions, data exporting, PDF exporting, and it's very much based in the science behind tracking chronic illnesses. It has community features and blogging and tips and a lot of features that support the user and the patient outside of just a symptom tracker. But weaknesses, it's only on the App Store, and it doesn't allow entering data for prior days. Why is that a pinch point? Well, you may feel really bad one day. A symptom that's typical of fibromyalgia is fatigue. You may not have the energy to fill out your symptoms for that day. And if you miss that day, you're unable to do that. So these aren't the only solutions on the market, but these are some that I found met a lot of the requirements for this specific project, but they have some things that could be improved. So that's where we move into the solution, which is an app called Apertura. And that name comes from the Latin name for the purple emperor butterfly, Apertura iris. So just a little background on this. The purple butterfly is commonly used as a symbol for hypersensitivity and then associated to chronic illnesses. So this application is based in the .NET MAUI framework and uses SQLite as a database. What this does is .NET MAUI is basically able to compile for Android, iOS, and Windows platforms. So the application is very dynamic, and you create one source file and it can be used across 3 different platforms. So I think that's really nice. Another part of the solution design is the user will receive a notification to fill out their symptom log. The symptom log will have a daily entry for pain areas, pain levels, and a list of symptoms. And then it will also reference existing data collection points for fibromyalgia, and we'll kind of get a look at that in this next slide. So ideally, we're able to back this in science a little bit and provide data points that are, one, relevant to the patient or user, and also relevant to the doctor when it comes to diagnosing this. So the University of Massachusetts medical school published a document that kind of provides a formula for diagnosing fibromyalgia on recording pain points, pain levels, and then calculating a score off of that. So ideally, we want to replicate this symptom log if we can. So let's move into the system design. The system design is relatively simple. Everything's hosted on the user's phone. Now, this will kind of run into some issues down the road that we'll talk about when it comes to notifications, but outside of that, being serverless is a really good benefit to the user, because without interacting with an API, all their data is stored on their phone, which means that there's no security risk in terms of data transmission, at least for the application. And because this information is falls under the guidelines of HIPAA, creating a HIPAA compliant database and API to handle that information securely is a lot of work. So in the time frame, it really works out to go ahead, time frame of this project, I should specify, it really works out to go ahead and make the data local and then kind of deal with the pros and cons of that. So as you can see, we have the user's phone, and then inside of their phone is our application, and that will handle the login, the form entry, exporting data, which we'll dig into that in the demo, which is allowed to be emailed outside of the application from the user's phone, and then daily notifications that are locally run to be sent to the user's phone. Moving into the entity relation diagram, excuse me, the tables are relatively simple. We just have a user table for storing user logons and containing their information. And then we move over to form header, which is basically just used as a container for form data. And what I mean by that is form data is the table information, and this will make a little bit more sense as we go into the application and dig around. But form data is our table information, and form header are any static fields outside of that table, which could be the form ID, the user ID, the form date, the created date of the form. So relatively simple fields, but the idea is we're creating a database structure that can support the most amount of data, but also effectively utilize our table design here. So the table data, to dig into that a little bit, is you have the form ID that it's associated to, and then a sequence record for the pain areas, the scale of that pain for that area, the frequency, and then other notes that the user wants to record. So all this hypothetical talk about the application, let's dig into it. I'm going to pause real quick and let's move to the mobile app. Hopefully. Okay, we've transitioned. Can everybody see the application? Perfect. Thank you all. So one thing to note before we dig into this is that Android emulator is very difficult. So it's going to run a little slower than what it would in production because this is limited to the hardware it's running on or sitting on, just to note that. But where we start off immediately entering into the application is the home screen, which is just the login. So what we'll do first before we try and log in is let's create an account. So for me, well, let's just use my information. And not worried about our password here, but this is just a very generic password. So we'll go ahead and click submit. It loads. There we go. Sweet. And then we'll go ahead and use that information to log into the app. Awesome. So immediately taking into the application, we land at our dashboard. What does the dashboard show us? Well, we have the monthly progress for how many entries we've recorded for this month. As you can see, I'm a brand new user, so that progress is 0. And then we have a calendar for adding entries or symptom logs for each day. So if we go ahead and choose today as the day we want to record something. We'll click on this cell and we're taken to our form. This is very generic, but it kind of replicates that, that form from the University of Massachusetts that we're trying to replicate, which is providing them with a pain scale reference. Why is this important? If the doctor can work with the same pain scale reference that you're using to identify your system or your symptoms, then they can kind of better or more accurately diagnose this. What I mean by that is when I say diagnose or tell me your pain on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 for you could mean something very different from a 10 for me. So what we try and do is clarify that scale. And let's just go ahead and dig into the symptom log. So if we click the add button here, we're allowed to add a new record and select our fields. So for the pain area, we're going to select my upper left arm hurts moderately. We're going to go ahead and set our scale there, and then our frequency. It really only hurt about this morning, and I'll mention that in my notes here. If I scroll down, uh-oh, the emulator's not happy. Sorry. There we go. So we'll say hurt all morning. And we go ahead and click save. So what it does is it logs that entry in this table, and then we can build upon this. So that way, if there's multiple symptoms presenting in one day, the user is able to do that and then track that per day. So for now, we'll just go ahead and leave it at one item. We can always come back and edit this item if we want to, but I think we're okay where we're at. So we'll go ahead and click save. Loading. Okay. And then if we go ahead and click submit, we'll see that our dashboard's been updated. So one, it's showing and indicating to us that we have completed our log for today. And then you can see our monthly progress bar has been updated. So the next thing I want to do is move into the data export function, but I'm going to log into a different test account for that because I want to have a little bit more data in the account before we try and generate our thing.
Before you go in there, can you put data for a prior date?
Yes. So if I go back to Friday and I click that, let's say I was really exhausted Friday night. I just didn't have time to fill it out on my phone, even though it's very mobile and friendly. But I can come back here. I can add a pain area. Let's say it was my upper arm again, but it was only slightly painful yesterday. And it was, again, just for the morning. So we'll go ahead and click save, submit, and we'll see that our Friday entry has been updated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and use our menu to log out, and we're going to log in as test cust. Very generic email, but they have plenty of data for us to export. As you can see, they've been doing really well this week, tracking a lot in the past week in terms of their symptoms. We can go ahead and open one of these up and kind of see they were logging some left upper arm pain as well. Maybe we're best friends, who knows? And then what we can do is actually, sorry, we're not trying to edit this. We'll cancel out, go back, and we can see that they filled out multiple entries. The monthly progress for August has started to fill up because they've already done 2 for the month of August. But we want to export this data. Let's say Saturday, we scored a lucky appointment with our doctor. We'll click export, and we want to send this to their email. For testing purposes, I'm just going to send this to, well, I guess my school email. And we can select the date range that we want to export. Even though we only filled out data to the 29th of July, we can set this back as far as we want, and it'll try and grab whatever data is there. In this case, there's not, but we'll just go ahead and set it back there. And if we go ahead and click export, we'll see a couple things happen. One, we've moved to our email app that is native to the phone. In this case, I've already logged into Gmail with my school account, and it's created this email draft to send out. So we have the aperture export subject, and then we have in the data or the body of this message, kind of the export range that we're getting this data from, and then a CSV file of the, excuse me, of the data that we sent. So we'll go ahead and click send. And then I'm going to pause here and open up my email. There we go. To open up that CSV file. So what does that look like? What is the potentially the doctor receiving, or what is their personal email receiving in terms of data? What we have is the form date. So the date in which that form, each one of those little segments, was completed. And that serves as the parent ID for those subtable records. What do I mean by that? So those the table that has pain area, scale, frequency, those are all kind of child records of the form as a whole. So you can see on the 29th, we actually filled out 2 of those slots down here, both recording upper arm pain. And so if we scroll over, we can just kind of see this is just test data. So it's not like the most representative of how it would be used, but it's a very simple export format to CSV. So if we go back to the application, we can go back to dashboard, and then that's about it for the demo. Are there any questions before I move off of?
Yes, I have a
portion?
question.
Please.
Taylor, which pain scale did you use?
Say that one more time.
Which pain scale did you use? Did you use
Pain scale.
which one did you use? Why didn't you use 0 to 10? Isn't that wonderful to have more detailed response by the patient?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the pain scale is referencing the University of Massachusetts formula that they created, and they grouped their pain scale down 0 to 3. It's purely just trying to base it off of research. I do agree with you, though. Expanding the pain scale from 0 to 10 is providing more detail. But I think the idea with the formula is that at a certain point for this, is the more detail in terms of pain the important part, or can we group that down and then record more pain areas and give those significance?
Okay.
I think in that case, there's also the issue of the point you made earlier, one person's 3, maybe another person's 2, and so it can be hard to distinguish between them.
Very true. Yeah. So the pain scale is just I guess a design choice, but really I think I can subscribe to either idea. I think more detail is nice, but in terms of diagnosis, having maybe less variance in the pain scale, but more reference to where the pain is hurting and how that it hurts across the body is probably maybe more relevant in terms of the formula used in that document. So, but either one is very, very helpful. So awesome. Any other questions?
But didn't you say before that you used the scale from some research organization in Boston? Is that what you mentioned?
The research organization in Boston, that is for the application of pain scale. And so I talk about that. I have a couple more slides, but I kind of talk about what their research really contributes to in terms of building community around this. But the University of Massachusetts, well, I guess, yeah, I guess they're both in Boston, but is where it's the medical school designed this formula specifically for fibromyalgia.
Okay. Because I would use like something like, I mean, I'm sure somebody has done it already, but I would use like 2 sliders. Like slider 1 would be severity, and the slider 2 will be regularity. And maybe it's not going to be like 0 to 100, but it's going to be like maybe like 1 to 5, something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you multiply like severity is adjusted by regularity to get kind of overall pain index. But I'm sure in the medical field they've done it many times. So, all those they've created all kinds of scales.
Right. And the one thing that I'll say is I think it would be nice to implement the formula into the application, but part of the research that I did warns against providing that early diagnosis. One, because it sets you up as an application as responsible for that diagnosis, and we don't necessarily want to provide that and be responsible and liable for that. But 2, I think importantly is that there's at least in the diagnosis of fibromyalgia, there's already some contention, and I'll talk about that later, between patient and doctor and getting diagnosis getting a diagnosis. So it's nice to provide them with data to increase their confidence, but providing something similar to a diagnosis can be earlier than what the doctor can prescribe can create conflict.
No, I was just saying like calculating pain score like based on 2 sliders.
Sure.
I'm not saying like predicting or something.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up with a couple more slides here. So solution evaluation really boils down to the impacts of daily diary use and the benefits of sharing health data. That's between patients and then from patient to doctor. So the impacts of daily diary use, this comes from researchers that compared paper recording and the smartphone recording of like symptoms in like a daily diary use. And so their method was for 7 days straight, have patients record 3 logs during the day, recording pain symptoms, and then address how do the participants feel about their data recording method, and then also how accurate are the results in terms of does it feel, or like how fictitious was it? Did they just fill it out to fill it out, or was it actually addressing our representative of their pain levels? And so in this research, compared to paper methods, participants preferred the smartphone method 50% more. And the reason behind that is the smartphone method was faster, and it was more useful. These are according to the patients in the study, and then it was easier to fill out. All of which is kind of what I presented at the beginning of this. It's just more accessible to do it on your phone than trying to keep up with a piece of paper, especially when you're recording 3 logs per day, 7 days straight. And then lastly, the completion rate was much higher for, and much higher, 34% higher than for those using the smartphone method. And why is that significant? The more data, the more the user's interacting with the app, the more confidence they're going to have with their diagnosis, but also the more data it provides to the doctor. So you want to encourage methods that get more data that can be used in the diagnosis or treatment plans. Moving on to sharing health data, there's 2 studies that dig into this. One first was patient to patient. So this was analyzing the use of a patient portal. Specifically, it was a public forum where patients could come in and there was blog posts, forums they could interact with each other, and it would connect them based on their diagnosis. So you'd register, you'd have a diagnosis, and it would try and put you into the communities, like a Facebook group almost, for that diagnosis, and encourage discourse and talking between patients to kind of address their diagnoses, their treatments, and then their doctors. And what they saw was that connecting patients increases their understanding of their diagnosis, their treatment, and provides a boost to their confidence. Why this is significant really comes into the lessons learned, which is if we created community features and added them to this app, it would just boost it, I think, in terms of providing a service to the patient or the user. And then lastly, for patient to doctor, in the Perot study for 2012, 64% of doctors agreed patients found it difficult to communicate their fibromyalgia symptoms, mostly because this is done verbally. They're trying to remember, how did I feel this past month, this past week? And then 79% of doctors agreed they need to spend more time identifying or spend more time to identify fibromyalgia due to the overlap in symptoms with other diagnoses. So that's where providing this export function to send to your doctor, I think, really embellishes and could benefit from this or is supported by this study, because we're providing an easy way for a patient to communicate their symptoms to their doctor, and it's in an asynchronous method, so the doctor can take that, go back and look at it later on, and not necessarily have to address it right there in a meeting with the patient. So moving on to lessons learned. Moving to a server-side API would improve exporting when we get to larger data sets. If they want to export months and months of data, that's taxing on and limited by the user's hardware, aka their phone. It would allow them to log in across platforms, so they could log in on an Android and then log in on their iPad. they wanted to. And then it would also help with reporting. What does that mean? Data processing can be intense on hardware, but also analytics, if they chose to opt in, maybe could be used to provide better insights. But going back to that, not tracking data is a great feature, but opting in could yield improvements to the application and the reporting that we provide to them. So it's just a juggling thing, but more features would be nice, such as reporting, blogs, medication tracking. There's plenty of other things I think that could be added to this application given more time. So all in all, I think we're right at the mark. So I apologize for going over a little bit, but we've talked about a new mobile application that's tailored specifically for fibromyalgia symptom tracking. I think it can provide an improvement on current diagnostic practices. And in the future, I think reporting can be used to provide insights on the user data to kind of continue to boost their confidence and let them know, like, hey, this is the symptom that you most commonly presented across the past month. And the community features just continue to boost that confidence and connect patients with, or users with, other people like them, and they can feel better. And then the goal of the app is to serve as a utility to assist the patient to doctor relationship when it comes to diagnosis and treatment in the long term. So thank you for listening to my very windy presentation. Are there any more questions?
I have two quick questions and then I'll keep quiet. One is, is it multi-platform, both iPhone and Android, or is it only Android?
As of right now, it is both. I haven't been able to do like super in-depth testing because for me, I have to test it on an iPad. It's the only like our Apple device I have, but it seems to run fine on it. I think scaling's like really the only issue that I had. But yeah, it is multi-platform and it does run on my computer.
Another question, one of the apps you showed had charts and everything. Now this one does not include charts. So when the data is shared, it's only the raw data that is going formatted in a particular way. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So it really is just a CSV export. Ideally, it could lead to, because we already have like the HTML of what the form looks like, I would have liked to done like an export to PDF with those forms so the doctor can view that. But I just wasn't able to reach that.
And last question, did you collect any feedback on users, on people who used this particular app, or was it just you were the own tester and user and designer and developer?
I had some, so my wife actually has fibromyalgia and it's kind of biased, but she was really my test subject for this in terms of, the look and the feel of it. She definitely had a lot of improvements that she think would be nice, but the feedback was generally consistent with, yeah, this is what a symptom log would look and feel like. It definitely has the functionality, but she's also very creative. She had a lot of great ideas. So
Good work. Thank you much.
thank you.
Yeah, I like your project. I think we made that point last time, because if somebody is experiencing pain or is an elderly patient, right, they really need something simple from a user interface perspective, like where I'm just imagining like just using one finger to kind of answer all those questions, and maybe even like using some kind of voice record instead of typing on a small screen. You just press this button and add like some additional comments, right? So I kind of kept thinking about how ergonomic and how easy to use this interface is for somebody who's in pain, or somebody who is an elderly patient, or somebody whose dexterity is impaired.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And I'm actually glad you brought that up, because that was the idea behind trying to go multi-platform. Is there's devices with bigger screens. The web pages I'm using are based in the Bootstrap framework, which has a lot of, it's a pre-made framework for HTML elements. And the benefit of that is it has a lot of accessibility tied to it. So if there's a label, screen readers can work with it, and the forms, they can work with those, or the screen readers can work with the forms as well. But I definitely agree with what you're saying. It'd be nice to just have like 4 buttons on the screen. It's like add a record, send a doctor, generate a report or
Now,
something.
I was thinking even more like, let's say there's like you see like an image of a body, right? And you kind of with your finger, you press where it hurts. Once you press it, you have some kind of scale. popping up, and you kind of continue pressing like to kind of adjust the scale, how bad it hurts, right? So it's like only like simple, very simple movements with one finger. That's it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think point and touch is about as simple as it gets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's where my inexperience with mobile development, especially HTML, shines through. Is creating something like that would have required more time. But I definitely agree. Moving forward, because I kind of like
Yeah.
this as a pet project, I would like to do that and improve the interface.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? We're almost done here. Okay, if we don't have any comments and questions, I would like to thank you all once again for participating in the session. Special thanks to our faculty who found some time on a Saturday afternoon to join those sessions. We really value that. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.